I gave my $25,000 inheritance to my sister for her online brand because our parents guilt-tripped me with "she needs this more than you." A week later, she posted a video saying not everyone is built for success like me. I commented one sentence, and it went viral. Last month, I was sitting in my living room when my younger sister Raya FaceTimed me out of the blue. "Raya, Marla, you know I'm so close to launching my brand. I just need a little help." "You're doing fine, you don't even need the inheritance money like I do." "Me, Raya? I haven't even paid off my loans yet." "Raya, you're being selfish." Then came the texts from my parents, the phone calls filled with guilt, and the line I'll never forget. "She needs it more than you, Marla. Don't be the kind of sister who watches her family struggle." I gave her all of it. $25,000. 1 week later, she posted a video to her 50K followers, saying, "Not everyone is built for success like me. Some people are just average." So, I left one sentence in the comments. This success was funded by the average sister she now belittles, me. It exploded. Now my family is furious with me. Not her. Me. Full story, ongoing. I never planned to post this, but the way things have unraveled has made me question everything I thought I understood about family, love, and boundaries. I'm Marla Reyes. I'm 39, no kids, divorced for 4 years, and I live alone in a quiet corner of Albany, New York. I work as a librarian. It's not flashy, but it gives me peace. I like my tea lukewarm, my books worn, and my home quiet. I'm not flashy. I'm not dramatic. I'm just stable. My younger sister Raya is the opposite. She's loud, charismatic, beautiful, and has a knack for making herself the center of attention, whether it's a family dinner or a TikTok story. She's been trying to become famous in some form since she was 19, first as a makeup artist, then as a lifestyle vlogger, now as a conscious fashion entrepreneur. She's also always been my parents' soft spot. When our grandfather died last summer, he left each of us $25,000. To me, that was a miracle. I had plans: pay off the last $9,000 of my student loans, put $10,000 into an emergency fund, and finally fix the transmission on my aging Honda Civic that had been stalling every other day. I didn't even have the money in my account for a full week before the messages started. First, a text from my mom. "You should really think about helping your sister. She's on the brink of something big." Then a call from my dad. "Raya's trying hard, Marla. She's not like you. She didn't take the safe road." It wasn't even about me having more. It was about her having less. Less structure. Less stability. Less planning. And because of that, I was expected to do the right thing. My mother hit me with the classic line. "You're not struggling. You're doing fine. Raya has dreams. Help her live them." What they didn't see, or didn't want to see, was the decades I spent scraping by, budgeting every coffee, clipping coupons, saying no to weekend getaways and expensive dates. They didn't see the quiet nights I cried over my credit card bills, or how I gave up therapy because I couldn't afford it anymore. But somehow, because I wasn't in chaos, my money was fair game. Raya called next. She didn't ask. She presented. Said she was planning to launch a clothing line, and that she'd use the money to secure a production run, marketing campaign, and rent studio space. She said it would take her to the next level. I said I wasn't comfortable giving her that much money. She didn't yell. She pouted. Then she said, "I've always supported you. You can't do this for me? After everything?" After everything. I still don't know what she meant by that. She's never even visited me in Albany. The next morning, I woke up to a group text from my mom, dad, and Raya. It just said, "We're disappointed in you." That did it. I don't know why, but that stung more than it should have. I'd spent my whole life trying not to be the difficult one. The dramatic one. The selfish one. So, I transferred the entire inheritance to her account. Every last cent. She texted back. "This is going to change everything. Thank you, March." Not even a heart emoji. I didn't hear from her for a week. I didn't hear about her either, which meant she wasn't struggling. That made it easier to sleep. Or so I thought. Then, Delia, my coworker at the library, called me into the break room and held out her phone. "Isn't this your sister?" Raya's video was bright, polished, professional. Her makeup flawless. Her voice full of swagger and entitlement. "Not everyone is built for success like me. Some people just don't have the mindset. And that's okay. The world needs worker bees too." That line. Worker bees. It played in my head all night. I felt hot and sick at the same time. That money she used? That worker bee built that studio. That outfit. That lipstick she wore when she told the world how average people were beneath her. So, I commented. Just one sentence. Didn't even use my full name. This success was funded by the worker bee sister she publicly belittles, me. I thought that would be the end. Maybe one person would see it. Maybe someone would send it to her privately. But I underestimated the power of the internet. People saw it. People shared it. It got screenshotted. It landed on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Suddenly, her followers started asking questions. Brands she tagged in the video started removing her from collaborations. Influencers who'd praised her started backing off. She deleted my comment. Then she disabled all comments. Then she posted a cryptic story. "Jealousy is the ugliest trait." I said nothing else. I didn't need to. My parents called me 3 days later. Furious. "You humiliated her," my mom said. "How could you do that to your sister?" "She humiliated me," I said. "I gave her everything. And she used it to spit in my face." "You should have come to us," my dad said. "Not aired family business like that." Funny how no one cared when they all pressured me into giving up my inheritance. But now, I was the villain for being honest. They're still mad. Raya hasn't spoken to me directly, but she posted a long healing reel about betrayal and removing toxic energy. I assume I'm the toxin. And I haven't asked for my money back. I know I'll never see it again. But I've gotten something better, messages from strangers thanking me for saying what they've always wanted to say. People who got used and tossed aside by family. People who were told they owed something just because they weren't in crisis. It turns out, I'm not alone. Not by a long shot. I didn't expect the ripple effect my one-sentence comment would cause. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, phone buzzing nonstop on the nightstand. For the first time in years, I felt like I wasn't invisible. That my voice, even if it was quiet and measured, could actually cut through. But with that visibility came more family backlash. My Aunt Margot messaged me on Facebook the next day. We hadn't spoken in years. She wrote, "Marla, honey, family comes first. You should have handled this privately." Handled what, exactly? Being publicly insulted by the person I just gave my inheritance to? Being the convenient backup plan everyone relies on, then discards? Even my cousin Derek, who I hadn't heard from since our grandmother's funeral, chimed in with, "You didn't need to go nuclear." I didn't reply. Not to any of them. Because here's the truth, none of them were around when I was breaking down after my divorce. When I had to move from the 2-bedroom apartment I'd shared with my ex into a 1-bedroom basement unit that smelled like mold. When I cried over buying a second-hand microwave and had to choose between paying my heating bill or buying a new pair of boots that winter. But now, suddenly, they all had opinions. Now I was vindictive. I wasn't vindictive. I was exhausted. And I was done pretending that my silence was kindness. The fallout for Raya was a slow burn. At first, she tried to play it cool. She posted a couple of artsy reels of her sketching fabric swatches in a coffee shop, sipping green juice, writing affirmations. But she couldn't contain the narrative. The internet wanted a response. And so, a week later, she did what influencers always do when they mess up. She posted a Notes app apology, read out loud over a moody lo-fi beat on Instagram. She said she was deeply sorry if anyone interpreted her words as insensitive. That her success journey had been misunderstood. That she loves and appreciates her sister. She didn't name me, of course. The comments weren't buying it. People asked where the money came from. If she was so self-made, why did she need $25,000 from her librarian sister? Why wasn't she acknowledging the full story? The apology video got maybe half the views of the original one. Then it disappeared. Her page hasn't been updated since. A few days after her apology, my mom left a voicemail. I stared at my phone as it rang. Didn't pick up. Later, when I listened, her voice was sharp but tired. Marla, this has gone too far. She's your sister. Blood. I don't know what you were trying to prove, but you've made things worse for everyone. She didn't ask if I was okay. She didn't acknowledge what I gave up. Just that I made things worse. That was the moment I realized my role in this family wasn't to be seen. It was to be useful. To quietly sacrifice, and to never talk about it. And because I broke that role, I became the problem. The funny thing is, outside the chaos, my life hasn't changed much. I still go to work at 8 a.m., still recommend books to teenagers who wander into the library looking lost, still eat my lunch by the window with a view of the parking lot and the same squirrel that always stares me down while I eat my sandwich. But there's something inside me that has changed. People started messaging me, women, mostly. Some men too. People in their 40s, 50s, even 60s. Strangers who wrote things like, "You just told my story. I gave everything to my brother. He used me and made me feel like I was selfish for expecting even a thank you. I've been the quiet, stable one all my life. I'm tired." One woman wrote, "It's like you said the thing we're all afraid to say, just because we're doing okay doesn't mean we deserve to be drained." Those messages did more for me than my family ever has. It's weird how the people who understand you best are sometimes the ones you've never met. Raya still hasn't spoken to me directly. I don't expect her to. But I did hear, through a mutual friend, that she's moved back in with our parents temporarily. I guess that sustainable fashion line didn't pan out the way she hoped. Apparently, she's now pivoting to a new brand, something about holistic coaching and inner peace. She's been posting pictures of books with titles like The Universe Has Your Back and Abundance Mindset. I doubt she's reading them. Meanwhile, my parents have gone radio silent. Not even a birthday text last week. Which hurt more than I care to admit. But I've stopped expecting apologies. Or accountability. Or anything, really. And strangely enough, I feel okay with that. The silence from my parents should have felt like peace. But it didn't, not at first. It felt like standing in a quiet room right after someone slams the door and leaves. Stillness, yes. But also tension in the air, like something unresolved was still lingering, just not being said anymore. I kept checking my phone more than I should have. Not hoping for reconciliation, exactly, but maybe for a moment of clarity. Some recognition that what I did wasn't cruelty, it was a boundary. That I wasn't trying to ruin my sister's career, just, finally protect myself. But of course, that message never came. What did come, though, was something else. About a week after my birthday, I was shelving new arrivals at the library when I noticed a woman lingering in the biography section. Mid-50s, well-dressed, but in a quiet, functional way. She looked like someone who'd been through a few things and come out wiser, not flashier. "Can I help you find something?" I asked. She turned and smiled. "Actually, I wanted to ask, are you Marla Reyes?" I stiffened. I'd never had a stranger recognize me before. My brain immediately darted to the worst. Was she one of Raya's followers? Was I about to be lectured in public? "Yes," I said slowly. She looked relieved. "I read your story. The one you posted on that subreddit. Or, maybe someone reposted it. It went around our group chat. I just wanted to say thank you." I blinked. "For what?" She laughed softly. "For saying out loud what so many of us couldn't. I gave up part of my retirement to help my son launch a business that never materialized. I was told I didn't need it as much as he did. And when I finally asked for a little help in return, I got silence." We stood there for a moment, just seeing each other. Two women, decades apart, but holding the same invisible weight. After she left, I sat behind the front desk and stared out at the parking lot for a long time. Maybe this wasn't just about Raya. Maybe it was about something bigger. Something that people like me, quiet, responsible, behind-the-scenes people, experience all the time. We hold the house up. And everyone forgets the house is even there. The weirdest part of it all is that even though I feel emotionally lighter, nothing in my day-to-day life has gotten easier. I still have debt. I still have a car that makes a noise every time I turn left. I still skip dinners out and keep my thermostat set low in winter. But now, when I choose those things, I know they're my choices. I'm not bleeding for someone else. There was a moment, 2 weekends ago, when I was standing in my kitchen, microwaving day-old coffee and listening to the hum of my fridge, when it hit me, I haven't felt this sane in years. Not happy, not yet. But stable, and not the kind people guilt-trip and take advantage of, but the kind I built for myself. It's a very different kind of peace. Raya has started slowly creeping back into my periphery. Not directly, of course not, but through mutuals, tagged posts, and the occasional vague story on Instagram. One of our second cousins, who I've always liked, sent me a screenshot of Raya's latest venture. She's doing a healing retreat in Sedona now? Charging $3,000 for a week of spiritual detox, he texted. I laughed out loud in the middle of my living room. The irony was so thick I nearly choked on it. The girl who took my inheritance and branded herself self-made was now selling spiritual purity for the price of a semester at community college. But I didn't say anything. Didn't share it, mock it, or even message her. That's the thing about walking away, you have to keep walking. I unfollowed her completely after that. Blocked her number. Not out of spite, but because I finally understood, I don't owe her the front row seat to my life. Especially when she's only ever looked at me to borrow the stage. Last week, I went to brunch with my friend Sarah, someone I met through work who I've grown close to. She's a single mom in her 40s with a dry sense of humor and a deep well of empathy. When I told her the story, she didn't flinch or try to fix it. She just listened. At the end of our meal, she said, "You know, it's okay to mourn the family you didn't get. Doesn't mean you're bitter. It just means you're grieving." That hit harder than I expected. Because yes, I was grieving. Not just the loss of money, or even the betrayal, but the loss of a belief I held on to for so long, that if I was just good enough, quiet enough, helpful enough, I'd be loved without conditions. Turns out, some love is conditional. Turns out, not all families are safe places to land. But I'm building a new landing pad now. One made of firmer ground, smaller circles, and no more guilt debt. I don't know what the future holds with my parents, or Raya. Maybe nothing. Maybe something distant and polite. But I do know this, my boundaries aren't up for negotiation anymore. And if that makes me the difficult one? Fine. Let me be difficult. The months that followed were quieter. Life settled into a strange, comfortable rhythm, like living in a house where the noisy neighbors finally moved out. I was still alone, still working, still driving that clunky Honda, but I was no longer looking over my shoulder waiting for the next wave of guilt to crash in. That silence, though, eventually started to fill with something new, clarity. I started writing. Nothing fancy, just late-night notes on my phone. Stories from childhood, memories of sacrifice, reflections on everything I gave and what little I got in return. I didn't intend to share them. But one night, on a whim, I posted a thread on X, formerly Twitter. It began with, "They called me the stable one. The responsible one. The you don't need it as much as she does one. So I gave my inheritance to my sister. And here's what happened." It wasn't bitter. Just honest. Raw. Human. Within 2 days, it went viral. Again. But this time, something different happened. An editor from a mid-sized publishing platform reached out. She said she'd read my thread and wanted to know if I'd ever considered turning my story into a longer essay. Maybe even a memoir. I laughed when I read the message. Me? Write a book? But she was persistent. Encouraging. She said people needed stories like mine, quiet stories, from the background people who carry so much of the weight but rarely get the spotlight. So I did it. It started as a series of essays, nothing preachy, just reflections on what it's like to always be expected to give, and what it feels like to finally stop. The publishing site gave it a modest platform. They titled the series "The Cost of Being Stable." And somehow, it blew up. Readers poured in. The comment sections overflowed with people who'd been the Marla in their families. They shared stories of giving up wedding funds for siblings' rent, of raising their younger brothers while their parents worked, of being guilted into silence while the louder ones got all the grace. My essays resonated. They were shared in newsletters, on podcasts, even reposted by a few mental health advocates online. And then, it happened. A brand reached out, ironically, a small ethical fashion line out of Portland. They'd read my work and wanted to collaborate on a storytelling campaign about women who choose boundaries over burnout. They weren't offering influencer money, but they wanted me to consult and write. Not sell clothes. Right. It wasn't just a paycheck. It was acknowledgement. For once, I was being sought out not for what I could give up, but for what I had to say. Meanwhile, I'd almost forgotten about Raya. Almost. Then I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. It was her. "Hey, Marla. I don't know if you'll even listen to this, but I wanted to say I've been reading your stuff. I know you probably think I don't care, but I do. I'm sorry. I was in a really weird place back then. I thought I had to pretend I was successful, and I didn't realize how much I was hurting the people around me." Pause. "I guess I'm calling because things aren't going great right now. I moved out of mom and dad's. I'm trying to figure things out on my own this time. No retreats. No brands. Just me. Anyway. If you ever want to talk, or meet up, let me know." I listened to that voicemail twice. Then a third time. And I didn't call her back. Not out of anger. Not anymore. I just didn't owe her a response. I didn't owe her my time or my forgiveness on demand. I had forgiven her in my own way, but that didn't mean she was entitled to a front row seat in my life again. Forgiveness, I've learned, isn't always about repair. Sometimes, it's just about release. The last time my mom reached out was through a forwarded article. No message, just a link. It was one of my essays, reposted by a major site. She didn't say a word, but I knew what she meant. She read it. They all had. And that was my revenge. Not the comment going viral. Not the brands dropping Raya. Not even the sympathy I'd gotten. No, my revenge was being seen. My whole life, I was treated like the background character. The sturdy one. The fallback. The one who gives, and then disappears when the spotlight turns on. But now, I was the one telling the story. Not out of spite. Not to tear anyone down. But because, for the first time in my life, I was done being silent. And they were finally forced to listen.